What's up, everyone? Welcome to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Wally Canine Castler, coming off of open number 2. We're going to make sure we talk about that in depth here. We're going to go over the top 10. We're going to talk about who was the most impressive, the least impressive, and who's the sleeper team, and then do our Around the ACL. What show am I on? We're having a great start this morning, by the way.
I was going to say, you're like, we're here with Wally and Trey. I was like, I don't know. Are we? I mean,
yeah,
are we all together
potentially.
Right
this is karma for whenever you guys bashed me for having bad internet. Now you're getting a taste of it, and you see exactly how frustrated I was that I couldn't connect.
Yeah,
you're right. I can't argue with you. I'm literally on my phone, like I'm all hunched down over here, like hello.
You're like when we interview a lot of the pros and their phones just moving and
yeah, I should just walk around the HQ and take around the ACL.
Yeah, not distracting at all. All right, well, we're going to do our best to get through it and entertain everybody on the way. So let's dive in. Des Moines was awesome. It was me and Corey and Wally hanging out there, and we had some good food. We saw some good sights. I would say it's a cool town, and I think Wally would agree with me on one massive negative thing about Des Moines, Iowa. It smells.
Really?
Yes, it's got to be that body of water. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it was like the weather was perfect. So there's times where we're driving back and I'm like, I want some of this nice breeze, and I forget about it, and we get to the bridge and we're all just like, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
That is so weird because the venue looked beautiful.
Amazing. The venue was beautiful.
Inside, yes. Outside, again, smells like alpacas and horses.
Yes, and sewage. But yeah, so it was definitely interesting in that respects. But lots of cool little bars and pubs and different things. So we had a good time for sure. So I'd go back to Des Moines. I know, obviously, Wally, you already have.
Yeah.
But let's dive into our winners. So singles was Ryan Traiteur. He also took doubles with Jay Rubin, and he also took junior doubles with Sammy Soto. So it is the weekend of Ryan Traiteur for sure. And I saw his post on Facebook, and he said, this is the best weekend ever. So I love that he's celebrating his amazing performance, especially after having to alter his throw with no step over, new bags. And he was able to make a lot of adjustments there for the win. Like I said, we're going to talk about most impressive, least impressive sleeper a little bit later in the show. So, Trey, let's just start with a general recap of your thoughts on the event.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously there's not much to say about Ryan Traiteur other than just sweeping everything that he did. I mean, statistically, when I looked across his events and I pulled some of the stats across singles and doubles, 15-0 across the weekend. You can't do any better, right? I mean, you can point to some games that maybe were closer than you would have liked, but who cares when you're 15-0 on a weekend? And to be honest with you, he took a lot less time adjusting to his new technique and his new throw than I thought he would. Not that I didn't think he wouldn't eventually get there, but for him in, say, a month's time to be able to make the full transition from having a step follow-through throw to one that does not do that, without any instances of lapse, is just flat out impressive to me. So I look for Ryan Traiteur to continue doing really, really well. The good or the bad news is it's early in the season. He started off really well. And so now he's got to try to continue that momentum throughout the entire season. And I'd be interested to see if Ryan Traiteur can put together another dominant season back-to-back. And if he does that, it will be the first time forever first time in ever that we have had a junior have two dominant back-to-back seasons, which would be really, really interesting and exciting to see. So I think that is on the forefront of what I'm looking for as we look further down the road, because for me, I was just flat out impressed that he continues to be able to do that and make that adjustment. Also, big picture on the weekend for me, impressed by Jay Rubin. I will also say I expected him to be a good, very good player. I do not know if I expected him to be a great player immediately out of the gate. When I pulled the statistics looking at that finals matchup, we're talking about both players being above an 11. I mean, players don't just come back from a long break off and throw above an 11. I don't care if it's, especially in the finals of a tournament. Now, across the entire tournament, we're still talking about a 10-plus PPR. We're not quite talking an 11. But still, I saw the same level of Jay Rubin that won him a world championship a few years ago. And so I'm genuinely impressed by Jay Rubin for his ability to do that, because I just didn't expect it this early, right? If you had said, hey, Trey, signature number 5 down the road, he's going to win, sure. Like, I could see that with some time to get back into the swing of things. But for him to be out back in his second pro event, to be able to be out there with Ryan Traiteur and be able to take it down, I think it was really impressive to see.
Hey,
Other
Trey,
names yeah.
real quick on that. Like, do you think does anybody even have a chance at comeback player of the year other than Jay Rubin? Like, what would it take?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a really, really strong candidate out of the gate. I'm not sure. Like, it would take someone that we don't have our eyes on right now, that does, when the signature season comes along, comes out and wins an event. We just didn't see them coming. But again, I think you've alluded to it, Michelle, that right now he's like far and away number one. That candidate should be at the top of everybody's ballot, and it's got to be somebody else that takes him from that. I mean, it's really his to lose. Other names on the weekend, like, I think we're starting to see Noah Almanza from 2022, the one that went to number 8 in the world, was a dominant player that made the Pro Invitational, someone that has exceptional skill. I was kind of throwing some trivia in the chat while you guys were out there about, when he won his first title. It was around this same time back in his rookie season, right? It was in Cincinnati, Ohio, a really big event, absolutely loaded with talent. And he was kind of a surprise to come all the way through and win that entire thing. Goes through a couple of years of not having his best stuff, and now kind of bouncing back. It is really someone that I think people should have an eye on, because if you look at what he did alongside Riker Wells at the first event in doubles, then you follow that up with this event, he makes it all the way to the finals in singles. He's putting together a complete game across the first few events of this season, and something that people should be excited to watch. It was cool to see Mason Traiteur, the brother of Ryan Traiteur, kind of have his really big breakout. And when I look at potential rookies next season, obviously Mason this year is a junior pro player, and maybe as we look forward to maybe making the pro tour next year, or just being someone this season that can perform at a high level, someone that is, I'm interested to see how they perform the rest of this year. Jeff Reynolds is someone that may be on the up and up here. He places really well in senior singles. He then obviously does really well in pro and elite singles. I think that's someone that's putting together a really good first half of the season, who had to get back into the pro division based on an exemption list. Now finds himself, at least at the start of the season, finishing near the top there. I think this renowned, the second chance has given him a new focus this year, allowing him to play at a very high level. Fisher Hamilton, Landon Crabtree, a dynamic duo that we were excited to see how they performed. I like what I see early. I still think they have some room to grow. Cody Henderson and Ethan Walker, man, this team is just going to get more and more fun to watch. I had to send Cody a little text that if he ruins one of my banners, I'm going to kick him in the side of the head. But, if you take that out for a second, right, I think the energy that he brought and the quirkiness and the, is fun to see alongside Ethan Walker, right? Ethan doesn't know how to talk to Cody yet, and it's honestly funny and it's entertaining, right? And I think that's exactly what we want from this duo, someone that's going to finish at a really high level. And now back-to-back open events, they're having really strong finishes. That's exciting to see.
Hey, real quick, Cody. Trey, on Cody, because you've known him a long time. People kept saying, like, in on socials, like, he's out of control. He's like, him really well. Is he actually out of control, or is he just more in control than anybody?
It is so funny, because Cody on the boards and off the boards is just like two very different people. But I also do know this, is that when Cody has an audience, that knob gets turned up a little bit, right? Like, I mean, that's not the type of person, you're not going to see that type of reaction in other places. He knows he's playing for an audience. This is an entertainment industry for him, but he also knows that that can also play into the head of their opponents. A lot of people, a lot of people think, and I think this is what Cody has been so good at for a number of years, that in order to get into the head of my opponent, I have to smack talk them to get them going back and forth at me. And that's not the case. Sometimes it just requires getting your opponent out of this laser focused vision. If they are locked in, they're playing at a high level, and it's something to make them look elsewhere, or it's something for them to speak a word, right? I've seen things as simple as a player looking over, is it your throw? No, it's my throw. No, it's my throw, right? They know whose throw it is, right? But it's that simple conversation that, as a player, if I'm locked in, I just want to focus on what I'm doing, and now I need to look somewhere else. I need to watch Cody Henderson make this big spectacle, yell something, take a timeout and pout, or make me laugh. If I laugh for a second, right, that I may not be angry, but I have been distracted in a way to get out of my zone. So this is what Cody Henderson does best. And if you're not familiar with him, that's gonna catch you off guard. But what I will say ultimately is it's playing in his favor, and him and Ethan are going to be really, really fun to watch. If I have any last thoughts, it's around Isidro Herrera and Jalen Jones. They're continuing to hang around as a team that is going to be tough to beat, right? So we kind of saw them make a broadcast last season in the shootout format. We kind of said maybe this was a one-off. Now we're starting to see a pattern, and patterns are good. Patterns start to tell us tendency and to start to tell us the ultimate potential for a team. So I don't think I'm ready yet for this team to be crowned some type of world-beating top-tier talent. But what I am saying is I have my eyes on a team of someone that could really break out and continue to have a strong season.
All right, Wally, did Trey cover all yours? You got something different.
I'll say with the time he took, I guess I'll have to go in the words of Cash Chamness. It was good.
No, we've got plenty of time. You keep going.
All right, we got plenty of time. We got no news around the league segment.
No news. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, no. So kind of piggybacking off a lot of what you said there. I mean, Jeff Reynolds, welcome to the seniors division. There was nobody in that building who had a better airmail than Jeff Reynolds. I mean, I think he missed one airmail on the live feeds the entire weekend. He was locked in. He was, showing what he has, and it's actually kind of scary because he's hitting his push shots, pushing the piles off the board, and he's not afraid to go for these backside airmails at any moment. And if he keeps hitting them like that, Jeff Reynolds could be a force this year. I liked what I saw out of Steve Schrader and Jerry Lockwood in the seniors doubles division. Steve looks to be in. I'm not sure if this was like a last minute throw together team or if this is something that's committed, but they look pretty well. Congrats to Jerry on getting his first one. Obviously, anytime Steve wins or just shows up, it's a blast for all of us. I do need to apologize to Sammy Soto for all the fantasy football trash talk. He whooped up on us. It was a combination of his team doing very well, and I got one touchdown out of 12 players, so you can't win doing that. But Sammy Soto and Ryan Traiteur, that's a tough doubles team to beat. And I don't really see anyone beating them. Maybe Cash and Mason can contend, or the Gores if they get back to playing juniors doubles. But this could be an entire season sweep for Sammy and Ryan if they play together. Keep an eye out for that one. Katie Bartell and Jasmine in women's doubles. It got pretty entertaining. We saw, I think, the headphone rule play a factor here in this one. Katie, she told me she was going to make a splash this year. She did. In open number 2, she's on people's radars, whether it's for the right or the wrong reasons. I think she just needs to focus on which crowd she's going to accept the input to come from. Is it going to be people in her corner, that she listens to? Is there going to be people that are against her that she listens to? Because her and Jasmine were pretty impressive, except for the last game. Katie was in some pain, but Jasmine picked up the slack. For us not knowing too much about Jasmine on the court, 10s and the 11s. I think I got a little bit of a hiccup there. I don't know if I'm back or not, but either way, we're good to go. I'm just going to keep rolling. And then, Trey touched on it. There was nobody having more fun this weekend than the Traitors. I mean, for them having that scooter there and just making it a fun weekend and kind of the anniversary of where Ryan Traiteur won his first title, They were the center of attention. They were just being kids that happened to be at a cornhole tournament throwing bags, and everyone loved it. Ryan, for me, answered all 4 questions that we had. Can he adjust to the step rule? Yes, did that with ease. No problems there whatsoever. No headphones on the broadcast court. Didn't look like it bothered him at all. How long is it going to take for him to adjust to the new bags? Apparently 2 tournaments. And then, what's it going to look like with Jay Rubin? And they looked great together. So I got to say, as far as Ryan Traiteur repeating last year's performance, he had a great open number 1, carried it through the entire season until they got to Worlds, where he dropped from 2 down to 9. But Ryan Traiteur is off to a great start, and I actually don't see any reason why he can't have this repeat performance.
And that's going to look different, right? Because Worlds is set up differently this season. So that could play a factor in it as well. Some other winners that we didn't mention: women's singles went to Cameron Belvin, and junior singles went to Tony Forbes. So those were the round out all of our winners over the weekend. So really impressive. And, you talked about the Katie and Jasmine match beating Bella and Deborah Odom. Obviously that win came on Jasmine's side. Deborah, I was doing fine on her side. But I talked to Bella. I said, why are you letting the chirping get in your way? You got to ignore that. You got to, or like, I think you have 2 choices in that situation. So if you have an opponent who's loud and distracting, you have to either lock in and ignore it. And that's a skill to develop without headphones. I get it. Well, the other option is what I would call like the Jeremiah Ellis effect, which is like, yeah, keep talking, keep coming. I like it. I want you to do that. Which would, both of those would work against the person that's chirping, because it's like, oh no, like they either don't care or,
Well, we saw 2 different types of chirping. I mean, you had Cody Henderson with Austin Waskow earlier. As soon as we start the live feeds, talking about ice fishing down in Texas or whatever.
Ice skating, I think.
Ice skating down in Texas. And Austin is like trying to look straight ahead as long as he could. He looks over at me like, help me. And then he starts smiling. I'm like, all right, that's Cody talking directly to you, trying to affect you that way.
Or he just stared at him. Remember, he just stared at him? He just
stared at him for a good 30, 40 seconds. But I mean, so you got those type of antics where it's directed more towards the player, and then Katie's was more directed towards her teammate. So
correct.
Either way, you got to have the blinders on.
Yeah, absolutely. Or play into it, right? Double down. Be even louder than them. Those are kind of your options, but definitely a fun weekend. And we'll talk a little bit more a little bit later in the show. But let's get into the top 10 shots. So we'll bring that up. And let's get into it. Number 10 is going to be Bella doing a collect. What a great bag that was to get all the bags on the board. Incredible. She's got all the talent in the world to do it. That's why I was telling her, why are you letting that bother you, Bella? You could do this. Yeah,
I mean, those 2 bags out of play, that's not an easy push. A little bit off to the left, a little bit. And we've seen in the past, Bella has problems going with slick side down. This one didn't look like she hesitated at all. So she's starting to get comfortable with that slick side downfield. All right, Bella, I see you.
All right, number 9. We talked about him quite a bit. Jeff Reynolds, he's going to do a 2-bag airmail drag. His airmail was unstoppable.
Yeah, you said it, Wally. You said nobody's airmail in the building at that time was better than Jeff Reynolds, and he made it look effortless.
Yeah, I mean, even playing with a deficit here, you see round 21 down 18-11. Jeff Reynolds was shooting that airmail with the game on the line. I think there was a score of 20-20. He still went after it, but he was hitting the front side of the airmails, getting that little rodeo. He was hitting the backside and the corners. He was positioning his airmail pretty well.
Moving on to number 8, going to come in at Ryan Traiteur with an airmail drag and a little special ending.
And a little special ending. I like this.
A little special ending. There he goes.
Yeah.
Shooting on through.
Yeah, like I talked about, that scooter was the highlight of the weekend. I mean, how he didn't take Ethan's bag was pretty impressive. It was crazy. But Ryan was feeling it this weekend. Ethan shot very, very well. We didn't give Ethan enough credit, but the scooter steals the show for sure.
Hey, have we ever seen a scooter knuckles?
Scooter knuckles? No. Throw that on the list.
Is that scooter compliant with our VersaCorp flooring?
I don't know.
We were worried about that, but we decided it was more fun than anything else.
All right, let's move on to his brother. Mason Traiteur is going to do a great collect here. Who saw that one?
Yeah, Mason coming right to left on the board with the slick side down is like kind of similar to what we don't see from Bella. You know, Bella never liked to turn that bag over and go slick side. Mason thinks he could push through everything because out of the two, I think Mason usually throws the faster bag, but he throws only stick side. He usually relies on that roll quite a bit, but he was getting fired up this week, and I think he's got the bug, Trey.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a good example of one of those scenarios where you actually don't need to pull the bag to the left. You just need to push it up the board to the point where the hole comes in play. And then once it comes into play, it's just going to drip in the left-hand side. So it's actually a very creative shot and one that you don't have to hit an overly long cut on.
All right, moving on. Number 6, Bella's going to collect all 4 bags here. Incredible.
Boom. Yeah, shout out to Andrea and Elise. A great run for those ladies as well. Bella set up here. It looked like it was just done. I thought it was going to clog. I didn't think there was any way to get it to go. And then again, slick side for Bella.
I was going to say, the most impressive part of that clip, my favorite part of that clip, you can just hear the faint "yes, ma'am" from Deb Odom in the background.
I know. I'd love to play with Deb, I have to say. All right, number 5, we're going to go with our 8-year-old Cash Chamness with a sneak around, and apparently he's going to leave Ryan Traiteur in awe. What? That's a great reaction.
I always like to laugh when Ryan Traiteur is the elder veteran on the court.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Ryan has those bags pretty drippable, I guess is the right way to say it. And Cash was in that position, but Ryan's bag over 50% of the way in the hole again. Trey's kind of talking about use your surroundings, use your bumpers. I see a lot of times where players will have a situation set up where like the lane is clogged and they don't set up a bumper off to the side. I want to see them do this exact scenario a little bit more and use these bags to capitalize.
Okay, moving on. Number 4, Fisher Hamilton with a collect for the win. Let's see it play out.
Yeah, this one for me was out of play. There's no way he was going to be able to peel that bag off the top. But Fisher Hamilton throwing with Landon Crabtree, he's back to believing in himself again. I think with Gavin Cano last year, we saw a little bit of that stress factor where he felt like he had to win. And I think he's back to just throwing bags again, and he looked really good doing it.
One thing I liked about Hamilton's delivery, it's a little bit more, it's still not clean and crisp, right? But it's a little bit more compact, which I like. I mean, so many times he's flailing around, legs kicking sideways, leaning one way. Like, at least it looks a little bit more down the center and direct.
Yeah, I think it all kind of starts with his head. Like, sometimes he'll do that little head thing like you talked about. And if he can stay focused or stay balanced and stay down the middle like that, I think he'll be good.
This next one, number 3, Tony Forbes is going to do a 4-bag drag similar to what Tony Smith did. I think that was in teams. Iconic shot and takes them all.
The key there is anytime you're going for a drag like that, once you're trying to drag everything and you know there's a chance of that trampoline effect, you have to land short. Because if you land directly on top of it, you're just going to hop off the board. You almost need to land short so the bags in front start to fall so you don't get that extra trampoline effect. Perfectly executed here by Forbes.
Yeah, we actually saw this out of him in the high school championships. Didn't he do the same exact thing?
Did he?
Yes. He just rodeoed bags in. I mean, he's got the short airmail work and broke those bags in nicely, getting everything in top. Nicely done.
Number 2, Anthony Eastridge with a bar of soap. Getting soapy.
Getting soapy. Yeah, Anthony has stepped up his game. He wasn't on my radar as far as a player to be reckoned with. Throwing with Jaden Ellis this year, I was kind of scratching my head. I was like, is Anthony ready for this? And then in singles, took down Devin Hardball. I mean, Anthony looked really good throwing there with Jaden. He came over after they won the high school doubles championship. And they said they're taking it all this weekend. Anthony's on my radar. I wanted to have him on our show, but he was flying home. But Anthony's playing some confidence now that I haven't seen in, I guess, going back 3 years when we first got introduced to this 7-foot-tall kid.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to say too much. Hint, hint about the next segment. That's all I got to say.
Okay. We'll keep it there. All right. Our number 1 shot's going to be Cannon Hatcher. He's going to do a 2-bag drag. And I don't know how. What?
Yeah,
What?
it's just gross. Like
What?
how did the bags go? Like it's almost what did he go 3 for 1 here? And he just peels it off the other bag and the other one stays. I honestly some of the best shots sometimes I'm like I have to watch 3 or 4 times just to even
Yep.
understand what happened.
Yeah, I
It's
think the
crazy.
main thing that he did here is he hit the front bag first. And that was what allowed the back bag to go. Because once he freed up Tony's bag, it was just a matter of gravity at that point. The question mark for me is how Tony Forbes' bag on slick side stays on the left side of
Stays.
the hole. That's just crazy to me. But
Yes.
I mean, Cannon
Crazy.
shot very well this weekend as well. He wasn't afraid to shoot these airmails.
Not at all. All right. Great guy. Great job, everyone. We loved your top 10 shots. Appreciate that. Let's move into most impressive, least impressive, and sleeper. This could be either a singles or team. Trey, who do you got for most? Actually, let's leave that for one for last. Let's go least impressive.
Least impressive. All right. What do they always say? Like you're hardest on the people that you
Yes.
love the most,
Or that you
right?
have the highest expectations, right? That you know can do it.
JBJ, Logan Chamberlain. Can we win an event in which I pick you to win one time?
But this is personal.
Just win. Like just you guys are the two of the most talented guys in the entire field. Every time I don't put you number one in my power rankings, you're in my mentions talking about don't know what we're talking about. Win an event. Please. Just do it. Like you're good enough to win. I just need you to go and act.
Oh, no. I think JBJ and Logan said nope.
JBJ and Logan just straight hacking the live feed and kicking Trey out.
Trey out of here. They were over you, Trey. Don't you talk about them like that. That's funny. Oh, man.
They literally hacked the show.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so good. All right, Wally, who you got least impressive?
All right, I actually got still here, 7.
But,
oh, yeah. You're still there. Can you not hear us?
Okay, I'm still here. Okay, well,
Yeah.
JBJ and Logan, just win an event. That's all I gotta say. Just win. Just go win something.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Wally, who you got?
All right, so I got 7 in the least impressive category for me.
7?
I think 7, yes. I went through each bracket in singles and doubles. I'll go through them really quickly here. Alec Ryan and Matthew Creek Killer, I thought would be a pretty interesting pairing. Going 1 and 2, I would have expected them to at least have a little bit deeper of a run in such a small field. So as far as them coming out of the gates, they got to work on something to get a little bit deeper. Gary Bearpaw and Deb Odom, they're opening the door for the critics to come out and speak a little bit louder. Bearpaw went 1 and 2, I think, in singles. Now, granted, he did go against Eddie Grindersleeve and I forget his other opponent, but they both shot well over a 10. But Anthony's going to love analyzing this with that style of play from Gary Bearpaw and breaking it down. Caleb Batson and Alex Hicks, I was hoping to have some questions answered. Whenever we saw Alex Hicks in juniors, we thought, hey, he's back. He looks really, really good. And then the doubles team came out and it was kind of like, I'm not really sure. But then Caleb Batson had a great day in singles. So the question marks still remain there for me. Gabriel Clausen, it's hard for me to criticize him, but judging him on a first-round pick, for the Virginia Cutters, getting to team up with Devin Harbaugh here and going 2 and 2, I expected more out of him. He shot 8s and 9s. I mean, that's good, but it's not going to cut it. Alex Hicks in singles throwing in the 8s. That's got to get better. And then Sebastian Schaefer Ford, one of the biggest movers on the weekend, started out at plus 4,500. Ended up going 0 and 2, went all the way down to plus 300 on DraftKings, going 0 and 2, leaving a lot of bettors basically worried until Ryan Traiteur saved them at the end by getting their money back. And then just a question mark for me. When is the last time you guys seen Matt Guy go 0 and 2?
That's crazy.
I've never seen it.
That's crazy.
I don't think I've ever seen
it. I can't remember. And didn't he? I think he lost to one of the Winthrop kids.
Yeah.
Because he lost to Jake Hernandez, I believe, and Jake Hernandez is on the Winthrop team.
Yeah, so not looking good for the Gary Bearpaw Matt Guy throwing style. Anthony, have yourself a field day.
Yeah, well, and I would say Matt and Brett Guy even in doubles looked off. Like something was off. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to sleeper, Trey. Who you got for your sleeper?
Well, if I can stay online here, let's see what happens. I got a couple. Really, I'm going to go with both Anthony Eastridge and Nick Mescal. I think both players, and you guys are chirping, you guys are laughing, so
You're
that
good.
means I might be fading here, but at the same time, we're I think Anthony Eastridge, he threw a 10-8. Gosh. This is
It's
it's all
It
coming
is so
back to
much
me,
more
Wally.
fun being on this side of the internet issue.
right?
I don't
It's
know why.
entertaining.
Yeah.
All I'd say is Anthony Eastridge at 10-8-6 across the entire tournament. That requires some kudos if you're going to do that and some applause. So I didn't have him on my high radar of someone that could perform really well, and he came out of the weekend performing really, really well.
Yeah, very 10-8-6. That's crazy. What about you, Wally?
All right, I got 6 on the positive side of things. Start with Cash and Mason Traiteur. Those kids continue to impress. They look like they belong.
You're calling them your sleeper team? Don't you think people would have picked them?
It all depends on who picked them. I mean, I didn't pick them to have this deep of a run. I
Okay.
think that there were times where it wasn't just them winning matches. They were the best players in the building. So, I mean, throwing 11s multiple times in the tournament where one player had a bad game, and by bad game, I mean throwing a 9-8 or a 10, the other one threw over an 11. So impressive for them. Sleeper for me, Fisher Hamilton and Landon Crabtree. Didn't know what to expect for them. They overperformed. Cedro and Jalen Jones, definitely a sleeper, not on anybody's radar to win the whole thing. We talk about how Jalen Jones kind of has that composed demeanor, and for him being the most dominant player down that last little stretch of doubles, Cedro's airmail and continuous style of play. The one thing for Cedro, though, is his sneak around game. When there was a blocker in front, he stepped out and snuck around quite a bit. I was very happy to see that. And then 2 other players that might not be on people's radar. And then I got Cody and Ethan on there. We kind of touched base earlier, but right now they're 2 great singles players on a team. They're not a good team yet. So that's something to keep an eye on going forward. Trey kind of touched base on that. But Tyler Stratton, I think, had a very good showing in singles. That's what he wanted to do, come out and make a day. And then lastly, no idea who he was going into it, but Jeremy Snellgrove, you're now on the radar. You had a very good tournament, and something I'm going to keep an eye on from Illinois, apparently.
Yeah, I think his performance on the broadcast wasn't his best because he's on live stream court, right? Like that's not somewhere he's been many times, if at all. And so I think that was why we didn't see the same performance he was doing off the live stream court. So I agree with that. All right, Trey, let's give it a whirl. Most impressive?
Yeah, well, I'll say Ryan Traiteur, duh. And then I'll move on past Ryan Traiteur, and I probably gotta give it to Jeff Reynolds. You talk about his seniors performance, then his singles performance, and then in doubles, him and Lucas Householder had a really deep run as well. I maybe even throw Lucas Householder in there as someone to keep an eye on. If you guys remember, he was one of the most impressive rookies at the Rookie Showcase. Fundamentally and technique-wise, one of the best players that we saw across that entire event. Now paired up with Jeff Reynolds. Jeff Reynolds could be someone that we start talking about sneaking into maybe a top 50, right? It's going to be a very tough field of pros this season, but Jeff Reynolds, I think, playing some of his best game that he has in maybe a year and a half, really impressed and excited to see.
Yeah, well, almost.
Impressive to see is what I think he was going to go with there. But
I think so. All right. What about you, Wally?
yeah, I think Lucas Householder had kind of the jitters as far as singles matches go. You know, he has to back up that impressive performance. We saw Logan Hall have a great showcase and then kind of have a stinker of a season. Like all the stressful stuff is over with. Lucas just needs to get back to throwing bags. We've seen him as an amateur have deep runs, and we heard Jake with the terrible Lucas Householder jokes over and over and over again. So Lucas just needs to get back to throwing bags. And if he's got that version of Jeff Reynolds on the other side, that is going to be a pretty strong doubles team to keep an eye out for. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect out of Cody and Ethan. We talked about the teams that were forming and just a very weird pairing for me. I still don't really know how that one actually came to be. There was moments where Ethan, or I guess Cody, called a timeout and Ethan was like, "You want some advice?" And Cody just flat out said no and just sat there. And Ethan's just like, okay. And he's looking over to Connie off to the sideline. He's just like, "What am I like?"
He's like,
Timeout. The
Grandma, help.
timeout affected 3 out of 4 people in that match, and Cody was the only one. And then the sinister moment where Cody was just like taking his sweet 12, 15 seconds, looks over at Jalen's like, I got him.
Yeah, so Cody slows his pace down dramatically. Jalen misses his next bag. Cody smirks and goes, I got him. I'm like, he's a cartoon character. Like, this isn't even real life.
Yeah. I mean, saying that he stole the show is an understatement.
Yeah.
And kind of sneakily, the Landon Crabtree for me has emerged as maybe a top 25 player now. I mean, I've known him for a while, so it's always kind of like same thing with Ryan Traiteur. Like Ryan Traiteur was good around here, but I never thought he'd be like the best in the country. You know what I mean? And Landon Crabtree and me and him are close, but like I never really considered him like a top 25 player. But he's emerging as somebody who has confidence. His pace of play, it'll get under your skin really, really quick, and he just doesn't care. He's going to play his game, and he's going to play it very, very well. So Landon Crabtree and doubles look good, and I don't think he cares as much about singles. I would like to see him care about a singles game.
It was like a Logan Chamberlain repeat.
Yeah, I think we got Trey
I'm not
back.
good at singles and then wins it.
Yeah, right.
So that makes sense. All right, awesome. Let's move on to around the ACL game time. Or we're gonna try. Let's go with Trey for bagger of the week.
For bagger of the week, I got to spend some time sitting down in Clemson, watching football at a tailgate, not worrying about anything whatsoever, and just living the dream, and got to eat my favorite barbecue place afterwards. Like the definition of my heaven. It's the place where I go to escape. I got to sit there, enjoy college football, and just take it all in. That's my four bagger for the week.
Yeah, it must be so nice now because you used to have to be the troubleshooter for everything live stream. Like it was like, especially when we had multiple courts, it was like Trey, like constantly being pulled. If you weren't there, you were getting calls. Like it must be really nice to be able to relax and enjoy.
Yeah, I get my month and a half out of the year.
There you go.
Oh, so I'm not too caught up on the college sports. Did they change the format this year, and does Clemson have a chance in football?
Clemson's got a chance to make the 12-team playoff. They got to win the ACC. They're right now first in the ACC. It'll probably come down to Clemson and Miami for the ACC for a chance to get to the playoff. Yeah, it's a 12-team playoff this year.
Okay, so we're gonna get a stressful version of Trey down the stretch here.
Absolutely, 100%.
Four bagger, Wally.
My four bagger for me was the rolling Zuka. I mean, I couldn't help it, but I was keeping my eye on it the entire time. I was having fun, and the kids were all just cycling through it. I think I saw a different, I saw a different junior on it every 10 seconds, and it created kind of a fun environment. The chat was loving it, but I think it obviously helped Ryan and Mason just kind of relax and not think too much about where they are in the bracket or what they got going on. So I am a little nervous that we're going to start seeing
too many,
maybe 10 to 15 rolling Zukas rolling around the court, and eventually just turn into a Mario Kart track. But for the most part, it was a fun, enjoyable weekend for me, and it was a good change of pace after Open number 1.
Yeah, I see Zuka scooter races in our future for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Floor bagger, Trey.
It probably had to be anytime I get a call from Athena in the middle of a tournament when I'm not there. That's like, hey, what do you want me to do about Tony Forbes and his bag just got failed after the event is over? So I thought this was a good opportunity to say that the ACL is stepping up their testing for bags this year to make sure bags are compliant, and also study bags in more depth. What I would say is Tony Forbes received his full payout. For everybody to take a deep breath and relax, he got his payout. We recognize, and there was a lot of good feedback. As much as social media is a pain in my ass, and that's why it's probably my floor bagger, is it drives me crazy. But I think there were some good points made that if you're going to penalize people, you got to be able to give them an opportunity to figure out what's wrong. So moving forward, we're going to encourage some proactive testing by pro players, and not so much try to take a disciplinary approach, but a proactive approach about making sure that people know when they're compliant and when they're not. So Tony gets his full payout. Everything's going to be just fine. Everybody take a deep breath and relax. And I think moving forward, just offering more testing opportunities and having people test their bags ahead of time to, one, make sure that we're all using the same standardized equipment, continuing to learn about how bags break in over time, and also just making sure that people are following the rules, but also providing them an opportunity to know if they are following the rules with proactive testing and times to be tested. So more information will be rolled out to the pro players at the top level about how that happens. But yeah, that was not a fun time to deal with, but we're in a good spot now, and I think everybody can take a sigh of relief on that.
It was crazy because all the people on social, I'm like, so you really think the ACL is like, ha, we got his money? like what? Nobody wants to do that. Like Athena felt horrible when it happened. Like, so no, we want our players to get their payouts. That is not what we want. All right, yes. Wally, what was your floor bagger?
Yeah, like I wasn't going to say anything with that Tony Forbes highlight, but I mean, a flimsier bag is going to allow you to land on top and kind of stay there instead of kangarooing off the back. So, I mean, it did kind of help for those you're like, it doesn't matter. It kind of does sometimes. So, again,
it just wasn't intentional. Like he didn't
intentionally. It wasn't intentional. And like he got some hate and he got some, like a lot of messages, and he's just kind of like, I just want to play bags, guys. Like you got to understand these are people too, but
he's not just people, Wally. He's a kid.
Yeah. And I think there are two things can be true. Does everybody want everybody to play with some type of standardized equipment? The answer is yes, right? People don't want anybody walking up with corn bags, doing whatever. I mean, everybody wants some level of standardization, but also some level of people playing what they want. Can that be true? Yes, that can be 100% true. Can everybody understand that our goal is not to, drop the hammer on somebody just because, they don't like, there's a fine line in between. We got to find that. We still have to be able to discipline people when there are opportunities for them to be compliant and they still not choose to do so, right? Correct. If there's an opportunity moving forward for pro players to test their bags at 3 different times throughout the day and to proactively come up and make sure that their bags are compliant, so by the time that they win an event, when they're tested at the end, they know that they're compliant and they choose not to do that, that's an opportunity for, for things to be treated differently than someone that's just like, well, I had no idea. I didn't even know you guys were bag testing. I didn't even know if this thing was coming on. So it's about continuing to evolve. And I continue to say time and time again that the ACL continues to want to push the envelope. And there are some things that we want to take a step back and be a little bit more simple about. And that's feedback that's well received. But at the same time, it's like, look, we're always continuing to learn about how our sport takes the next level. And some people ask for some things, some people ask for other things. And it's about meeting a common ground and having some balance.
Yeah. You guys ever seen that bar with the green screen where like everybody erupts in the bar? They're like, yeah. It's just an image. Like I picture all the people at the bar with their keyboards and then Trey announcing Tony Forbes will get his full payout. And then the whole bar just erupting. Yeah, we did it, guys. We saved the ACL and Tony Forbes.
Yep. It was all because of us.
Keyboard Warriors 1, Trey Riders 0.
Trust me, I'm way behind. It's not 1-0. It's probably 15-0 or 20.
My floor bagger for me was my attention span this weekend. I felt like I kept losing focus the further we get. Like there was one match that ended and Ethan Walker just hopped on the court to warm up and we're like, oh, the match is over. We're going to break. See you soon. And like I was just like, this was terrible for me this weekend. I blame the hotel pillows for flattening out and getting too thin. I didn't get much sleep, but I'll do better going forward, chat.
That was the funniest thing. It was like we were talking, and it must have not been like super close, or we wouldn't have taken our eyes off the court for a second if it was 20 something. But Wally and I look at each other to talk. We look back, and not only have the players left, Ethan Walker's mid throw. Like what? Was it a magic?
Bag. Yeah, we dropped the ball. It's okay.
We dropped the ball. That's okay. We're human. All right, Trey, send it or board it.
All right, send it or board it. Road trips. Okay, and specifically going to vacation. You have an option. Let's say it's like 5 hours away, 6 hours away, right? You have an opportunity to take a road trip to your vacation, or you can do your standard fly, get on a plane, whatever. Thoughts on road trips?
You mean road trip like you're making stops? Like you're turning it into its own adventure, or you're just like drive instead of fly?
Maybe either or. I don't know. Like
Okay.
it depends what you're vibing.
Yeah, if you're doing a Tommy Boy road trip where you get to stop and get the Dragon restaurant or wherever it was, and you get smacked on the side of the face, like those are adventures. Those are fun. All about the road trips with planned stops. Not so much just straight driving 5 hours to a tournament. So
Agreed. Totally
I'm with
agree,
you.
Wally. I'm in. Yep. What you got, Wally?
All right, so kind of the same thought process. My birthday is this weekend. Senator boarded a little 3-day vacay to anywhere.
Yeah, we talked about this, right?
Send it.
Yeah,
I'm a huge proponent of 3-day vacations and 3-day weekends. I would rather look, even if you think about it in just days off work, I would take 5 3-day weekends over one huge week-long or 10-day vacation any day of the week. I believe in making your vacations just enough to where you want to go on another one. If you get to the end of your vacation, you're saying to yourself, I can't wait to go home, your vacation was too long. I am all about the
that's
3-day
fair.
weekends. Do it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, I say
I
send
think I
it
might
as
just
well.
throw a dart at the map and see what happens.
Oh my God, I'm so into that. Well, I just got a companion pass for Southwest for January through March. So I'm like, I told Nick, where you want to go? You get to come
Let's go.
free. Let's go. All right. Would you rather, Trey?
Would you rather, okay, think sports teams. Would you rather be a fan of a team that is just like a 3-15 team, 3-14 team, and they
Chargers.
have one good win a year, maybe 2 good wins a year, or a team that squeaks into the playoffs and gets beat pretty bad the first round? Which one do you want?
Well, as a Charger fan, I've experienced both of those, Trey.
Yeah. So for me, we had this happen last year with the Packers. Like I kind of thought we were on a rebuild, and then we happened to be just good enough to make the playoffs. And I'm like, no, like
Mhm.
I wanted a good draft pick for
Yeah.
our team, but it was kind of exciting, gave me a little bit of hope coming in this season. So I'm gonna go with the squeaker.
Me too, even though I think the draft pick is a valid answer.
Yeah.
All right. Wally, would you rather?
All right. So again, similar lines thought as the thought process with Trey. Would you rather be the world's best cornhole player or finish dead last, as my golf game was terrible this weekend, finish dead last in every PGA tournament?
But you still make money, right?
Huh?
How much money do you make?
I want to hear your answers before I tell you.
No, that's part of it.
Dead last. So dead last means you're not making the cut. So I don't think you're making much money, honestly. Or are you saying dead last and making the cut? Because I think that's a pretty significant difference.
What I researched and found here, dead last will pay you $392,415.
Sold. Done. Do that. Yep. Dead last. Send it. I'll take that.
I would be
But
interested
no
to see if that's
recognition.
No recognition. That's fine.
because I don't know if you get paid if you don't make the cut. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's tough to turn down money, right? Probably take the money, but we're getting there.
Oh, we'll definitely be there. But as of today, yes. I don't have an ego, so I have no problem being last. I'm good with it. All right. You got a hot take, Jay?
Yeah, hot take here. There's a lot of great elite players, right? I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say an elite player makes the Rookie of the Year ballot, which means not only do they have to qualify, they have a tough bracket every single time they go through. Like, I'm going to go with, I don't know who it is. You could be Eastridge. We could have Mason Traitor, Cash Chan. Like, there's a couple options. Tony Forbes, elite player, makes the Rookie of the Year ballot.
Wally?
All right, my hot take is Jay Rubin and Ryan Traiteur will finish higher this year than Jeremiah Ellis and Devin Harbaugh.
Oh, I like that one. All
And by
right.
the way, Trey, you got us a lot of grief for not putting Jay Rubin and Ryan Traiteur in your top 15.
Yeah, we got grief. We didn't even do it. Like we didn't make the top wherever the power
They
rank.
attacked us after they won.
Yeah, they totally did. All right, mine is we talked about how the juniors have a hard time having the back-to-back success. I've got Ryan Traiteur top 5 at the end of the season. So able to succeed in breaking that curse for the juniors. All right, guys, that's all we got time for. Thanks for hanging with us, and we will see you all next time.